Hello, it's 12 o'clock. Hello, 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 hello. It's go time. Let me go live here. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hello, TikTok. Hello, Facebook. Pleasure to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Let me see if YouTube can hear me. Hello, everybody. It's go time. Welcome, 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 welcome. It is an absolute pleasure. Nene, can you check if Facebook is working? If you can hear me on my Facebook. Hello, Instagram. Hello, hi, T. Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to be back here. Right? It's a pleasure to be live again. It's been a while. Today I'm going to talk about what is trauma. What is trauma? I'm trying to check if my YouTube, if they can hear me.
I can go on YouTube.
Right, YouTube is always a pain in the ding dong. Hello, ladies. Welcome in. Pleasure to have you here. Where is Afrocentric? Can you hear me? I don't think my YouTube is working because I can't hear myself. Normally I can hear myself. Hey, beautiful girl. Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about what is trauma. Let me see what's happening here on YouTube. YouTube is always an issue for me for some reason. I know that when I can hear myself on YouTube, that means that it's working. And when I cannot hear myself, that means that the sound is not on YouTube. And so I'm not really sure what to do there. Right? Hello, YouTube. Can you hear me? Can you hear the sound? Hi, let me know. The earring looking radiant. Thank you, thank you. I found this beautiful, can hear you from TikTok. Hi, Mimi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can hear me on TikTok, and I know that Instagram can hear me because Giselle is there. I just don't know what is happening on YouTube. I'll just leave it like that. Maybe they can hear me, maybe they cannot. And if they cannot hear me, what I will do is, hello, can you, oh, right, can you hear me? Okay. I'll leave it like that. You can hear me loud and clear. Hi, Facebook. Hello, girl, hold my hand. I hope you can hear me. Put anything in the chat. Put a heart. Put a fire. Something in the chat. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back today. And what I want to talk about is what is trauma. I want to talk about what is trauma. If you remember, the book that we have been reading is The Inner Child, The Healing. We're not done with it, but the reason, this is the book that we have been reading, Inner Child Healing. Inner Child Healing is what we have been reading these past 2 weeks. But for today, I want to switch gears, right? Because as I have talked about, and also in my own journey, I have realized that a lot of people do not know what trauma is. TikTok is a little bit dark. I don't know why, but other channels are a lot brighter. So I'm sorry, TikTok. So a very necessary topic. Yeah, some people don't realize they have trauma experience. Yeah, they have experienced trauma, and some people identify it wrong. That is the explanation. Thank you, Giselle. That is the explanation. So I'm going to read it again. A very, very necessary topic. Some people don't realize they have experienced trauma, and some people identify it wrong. This is why today I want to go back to the topic of what is trauma. Because exactly what Giselle said right here on Instagram, right? I was talking to my niece, and it broke my heart a little bit. It touched me. Hello. The name is Lamin, right? I'm so sorry. It's been years we haven't talked. Lamin Kaba, right? Lamin Kaba. And if I'm wrong, just virtually slap me and yay! I still got it. Okay, so by the way, everyone, Lamin Kaba is my brother from the Gambia. I have known him since I was a little chicken. I used to go and hang out with them in Bakau, right? Bakau in the Gambia, West Africa. So it's a pleasure to have you here again. Lovely to see you again. It's been years. And I know you used to reach out to me a lot, and I would not talk to you, Lamin Kaba. This is why I started this work. One of the reasons why, you know, when you reached out to me and would want to talk and would want to chat like we always did at a very young age, was because I was depressed. I was traumatized. I was in pain. And you probably have never known this, right? And this is why when you reached out, it was difficult for me to talk because I couldn't handle my own self. I was overwhelmed, and that's why I do this work, right? Which brings me to the topic of what is trauma. I was talking to my niece recently on Instagram. I haven't been in touch with her for years, and I went to see her family in a different state, and she was back in the Gambia, which is my hometown. And so we were talking, and one thing that I know from my own experience with trauma is that many a time you do not know what to do with yourself and what to do with your life. Like I was just saying, you know, Lamin Kaba, that is why you never heard back from me. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to do with my life. I had my career and everything, but I was traumatized. And this girl, the same way, we were chatting, and she was telling me that she doesn't know what to do with her life, right? And her parents are forcing her to do something that she doesn't want to do, and she had to learn about it. And so I sent her some things about what trauma is and how stress manifests in our body. And so I thought today would be a good day to talk about what trauma is, from my experience, from what I have learned, from what I went through myself, right? And what I would do is I sent her some things, right? So I'm going to go in my messages right now on Instagram, and I will pick out what I sent to her and break that down and explain it. And hopefully she can join me. Let me send her a message. I will explain what is trauma. Because many a time, just like Giselle said here on Instagram, people don't know that they have gone through trauma, or people don't know that right now what they are experiencing right now in their lives is trauma. And I am not talking about trauma in a trendy way. I am not talking about trauma in the way that society talks about it. I'm talking about the pain and the hurt and the toxic stress and the childhood trauma that most of us have gone through, right? And so today, my topic is geared towards my niece, because she asked me, what is trauma, right? And so I had to sit back and realize that when I went through my own trauma, I didn't know that I was going through trauma, right? I thought everything had to change, everybody had to change, and my life was normal and my experience was normal. And I didn't know that the things that I was going through and what I was feeling and the pain that I had, the confusion that I was going through of what should I do with my life, what should I do with myself, who am I, was based on trauma. Just recently on Sunday, actually, we have lessons in the business that I am doing, and my coach, we were talking about how in our communities, right? And in our communities means anybody who looks like me. Most of the time when our children graduate from school, you would hear them say, I have to go find myself. And I don't know about other communities, right? I can only talk about us, wherever you are in the world. I am going to find myself, as if we don't already know ourselves. And one of the reasons that our children, or even us, we want to go find ourselves was because of the traumatizing experiences that we have gone through as children. We already know ourselves. We already know who we are. But because we have never been given the opportunity to feel our feelings, to process what we have been through, right? To grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, we feel lost. We feel confused. What?
I want to take a bath.
Oh yeah, go take a bath. We feel confused, right? Everything is just chaotic in our mind. So our children would want to go find themselves. They have no idea what to do with their life. They don't know who they are, because as parents we have confused them. So I'm going to go right into the topic. What is trauma, right? And so I'm going to start with symptoms of childhood trauma. Childhood trauma can manifest in different ways, right? Before I start with the symptoms, I think on my Instagram as well, I have posted something about adverse childhood experiences, which is also childhood trauma. And I can tell you, I went through all of that. And this explains the different, so 3 types of ACEs. ACEs is adverse childhood experiences. Good day, Afrocentric. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Types of childhood adversity, types of childhood trauma, adverse childhood experiences, right? So we are going back to the beginning. So the first one, there's abuse. And abuse can be physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. Physical abuse is most of us in our communities, we like to spank, to hit, to beat our children. Some of us were raised that way. Some of us find it very normal, or our parents find it very normal to take off their belt, right? To use anything. Oh, thank you.
In the bathroom.
To beat the life out of us. That's one aspect. And many of us do not even know that the way that we act and the way that we see the world is because of the beating, of the spanking that we have gone through as children, right? Afrocentric, I don't know why I feel the need to tell you this. I'm going back to the beginning. Like I was saying, you know, the topic was inspired by my niece, who asked me the question, what is trauma? And it was a light bulb moment for me to realize that, oh my God, there was a time that I didn't know what trauma was, or even what a trigger is, right? So as I was saying, physical abuse, from the beatings and the spankings that we went through as children. Personally, I went through that my entire childhood, right? Lamin Kaba, you never knew this. But the times that I was running away from Sanchaba, coming to hang out with you and the boys in Bacau, I was running away from the beatings that I used to have at home, right? If you ask Kaba, I used to tell him about my uncle, who, if he didn't have weed at home, and I look at him the wrong way, or our eyes meet, that will be whole days of beatings and spanking. So I would run away to anywhere that I can hang out, where it was peaceful. So that's why I was always in Bacau at Kaba's house. Emotional abuse, which is the next one. Emotional abuse. Most of us, we get screamed at, always, right? My niece, I hope you were here on Instagram, and I know you've been through this. That is emotional abuse, where constantly you are getting screamed at, whether you did something, whether you didn't do something, whether you were right, whether you were wrong. It did not matter what you did or what you said, you are being screamed at. I don't know, I feel like starting the stream on YouTube because I feel it's not going. There's no sound, so I'll stop that. So that is another form of abuse, right? For me, how it, and I know you went through this, for me how it transpired was, if I told the truth, I was lying. If I was lying, I was lying. It did not matter what it was. To my mother, especially, I was lying. And I was always screamed at. There's one thing to talk to your child, to actually explain their growth journey, what is happening to them, to understand the world, to understand themselves, and it's a whole different ball game when constantly you are raising your voice towards them. So you're not talking with them, you're not communicating with them, you are basically talking to them or over them. If that doesn't make sense, please ask me questions and I would break it down. Like I said, I had to remember that, you know, I had to go back to all of this. So that's one thing, and that happens a lot in our communities. Like I said, I only talk about our communities because I don't know about other communities. sometimes let me take example here in New York City, because this is where I live, specifically Brooklyn, but I have seen this in the Bronx. One time I was in the Bronx and I was with my daughter, and we were walking past, probably around 135th or 165th Avenue. We were walking past, and there was this mother with their child, right? And this lady, her child was the same age as my child. But in the middle of the street, this mom was screaming at this little girl, probably 6 years old. Yes, it is a learned behavior. Yes. So hurt people hurt people. We get traumatized, and instead of healing, we traumatize our children. So this lady was screaming at her daughter in the middle of the street, probably a 6-year-old child. And from the child's face, I can see the pain and the embarrassment that she was going through. And she was just walking with her mom, and she was just like this. She didn't speak. But I can tell that the mom was frustrated for whatever reason, and bringing out that frustration on the child. Sexual abuse, it could be any form. And I always say that sexual abuse can be also in a emotional form, right? It's not just somebody in the family or in the neighborhood, or a man or a woman penetrating a child or whatever it is, just emotionally sexualizing the child in the family. That can also be a form of sexual abuse, because then whatever words you're putting on the child will believe it and go outside and act and behave and in the same way. And then people will judge the child, not knowing that these are the words that were spoken into the child by the family and the friends. Right? Because children don't know what they are doing. Children are mostly exploring themselves, exploring their body, right? They're mostly curious about my hands, my ears, my eyes, my lips, my butt cheeks, my body's moving, right? It's more of a, oh my God, they're finding who they are. But most of us, our parents, instead of understanding this and explaining to the child what is happening to them, we either judge them, we abuse them emotionally, or we don't give them the sexual education that they need inside of the house. So when they go outside, it is very easy for men or women to abuse them. Because like I always say, sexual abuse is not only women. Men also get sexually abused. But unfortunately, we don't hear that. Why? Because there's no money in talking about men being sexually abused. We only hear about women. So many a time, I'm not saying it's everybody. I am saying that most times, when you see women out there sexualizing themselves, do not ask what is wrong with women today. Ask what happened to them. How were they raised? Right? Neglect, right? Which can be physical and emotional. That's also a form of abuse. Emotional neglect. I hope that I'm pronouncing it correct. enjoy my accent. Physical and emotional neglect. Some of us were raised in a way that our parents never hugged us, never showed us love, and we grow up thinking it's normal. And many of us, when we see other parents showing their kids love, or other kids being loving and showing love in general, for men, especially in the Gambia, Lamin Kaba, tell me I am wrong, we call them sissies. Right? We call them sissies. And then we laugh at women who are emotional. But these things happen because our parents have never shown us love. We have never been hugged in a loving way. We have never had a loving touch from our parents, be it the mother or the father, right? And even with that neglect can come the issues of daddy issues and mommy issues. And you know, my niece, this is for you because I went through it. I have daddy issues and mommy issues, right? The way that we're raised, some of us, our parents separated, and that is one of it when it comes to household dysfunction, which is divorce, right? Some of us, our parents were not married. Some of us, we have been lied to by our parents. Oh, we were married, but then they were not married. This can confuse the child. So if your mother is traumatized, so that's the generational cycle, that's the generational cause, right? Where there's your mother or father, there's a line of men and women who have been traumatized and they are in pain. Maybe they were spanked, they were hit, they were sexually abused, they were never shown love, they don't know what love is. And then they have a child, but they did not heal, so they raise you in the same way. So if it's on the mother side, that is mother wound, mother issues. Men and women have this. And there's also the daddy issues, which is the same thing. There is no love, right? Real, emotional, physical love from the parents coming in. So you have the daddy issues and the mommy issues, right? And if we go deeper in this, into spirituality, that will be the healing of the masculine and the feminine energies. Because both men and women have masculine and feminine in us, because we all have a mother and a father. So household dysfunction, incarcerated relative, somebody in the family went to jail, divorce, right? Mother treated violently. Maybe you have seen your parents, your mother, especially with the mother treated violently, your mother was treated unjustly by her husband. You know what I'm saying. Right? And also substance abuse in the family. Somebody in the family is abusing substances, alcohol, weed, right? I always say that I am all for marijuana, but also I have seen how people abused it, because I've seen it in my own family, which is an aspect of my traumatizing childhood, right? There's also mental illness. Mental illness in psychiatric aspect of it, where the person has gone completely crazy, lost their mind. But there's also an aspect which is mental illness, depression, anxiety, the pain, the hurt, everything that's bottled up and held up inside can cause mental illness. And so we see all of these things, but then we think that these are normal ways of acting and behaving and being, and then we copy it, and then we start acting that way, and then we don't know that our parents have gone through pain. I talked about here before how most of the illnesses, and baby girl, I'm talking to you. Everybody give me a moment. Let me talk to my baby girl. I'm talking to you. No, baby, your cousin. One of the things that we have had in our family is a lot of diseases in our family, because I know you are watching. It's a lot of diseases, from stroke, and you know our grandfather died from stroke, diabetes, right? I had grandmothers who died from diabetes before you were born, or when you were very young. One of them was amputated before I was 15. So there's the stroke, there's diabetes, there's heart problems, heart attacks. All these are an aspect of stress and trauma. I'm not saying it's not normal for anybody to have these sicknesses and die, but if you look deeper into it and you research it, you will see that this is part of the generational pain and the trauma. And I don't know if you noticed, maybe you were younger, I can't remember if you were back home, but most of the time that I was home back there in Bakote, right, one of the issues that we noticed was that our grandfather was very strict. Very strict. He wouldn't talk. He bottled up everything inside. Everybody was scared of him and would run when he is coming. That wasn't normal. And he ended up dying from stroke. Now, you can take the time and look up what stroke is and what causes stroke most of the time, and the connection between stroke and stress. So this is in our family. So when you ask me what is trauma, it's the generational pain that started from whenever, and it has never stopped. And you know, my sister got divorced, and that was painful on the family. And you can tell me later if that is why you had to travel, because divorce is one of it. And my sister was traumatized when that happened, because I went there and she was talking to me. Okay, so let's go back. Well, before I read that part, let me read, who is your inner child? Who is your inner child? Your inner child is the part of yourself who still thinks no one loves them. It doesn't matter what your age is. If you're listening to me or you're watching, you're 10, you're 15, you are 30, you are 50, hell, you are 80, you have an inner child. Because we are all children in big bodies, in adult bodies. Because adulthood is just what? Responsibility. Taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, blah, 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 the things that you are supposed to do. It's not necessarily a mental and emotional thing. Because there are people who are in their 40s and their 50s and they have arrested development. They still have the thinking of when they were 20 or 15, whatever trauma that happened to them at that time, and they haven't passed that age. I have a family member like that, who when you still talk to him, he will tell you of his childhood, when he was making money, when he was the shit, when he was the man, when he was blah blah blah. He has not moved past that age. Arrested development. Doesn't matter your age. So who is your inner child? The part of yourself who still thinks no one loves them. Let me drink my water. I put my water in this bottle to make it easy for me to to promote my products. Guys, I have healed. I have really healed. Right? This is a part of me that a lot of people never knew. So, who is your inner child? The part of yourself who still thinks no one loves them. The part of yourself whose feelings were overlooked. Part of the emotional neglect or emotional abuse. Your feelings never mattered as a child. The part of yourself who is still scared of mom or dad coming home, or just scared of mom and dad in general. The part of yourself who needs to be perfect for mom and dad to love them. Our parents tell us what to do, the careers to take, the journeys that we have to work, the places that we need to work. Right? This is what you have to do. This is what you have to be. This is, and one of the another issue that we have, you know, in our communities, right? Whether you're from Africa, whether you're from the Caribbean, whether you're born in America as a Black American, one of the issues, the big problems is that we believe in the system so much and we want the benefits of the system. I'm talking to you again, baby girl. We believe the benefits of the system. Or if you go into the military, you will have, you get your school paid off. You will get this and that. The government will give you these benefits, right? That is called the Matrix. If you've never watched the Matrix, take time and watch the movie The Matrix, the first one. And don't watch it like a movie. Watch it with open eyes and listen and watch society the way it is and how the movie was made. We believe in the system. Right? Some of us believe in welfare so much that we would do anything to get the benefits from the government, forgetting that we are divine beings. It's a documentary. Yeah, it's a movie, right? But I watch it like a documentary. The movie The Matrix with Neo. What's Neo's name again? This well-known guy. I always forget his real name. So the belief in the system, in the military, in the Air Force, the belief in retirement, in 401ks, the belief of the 9 to 5 is called the rat race. The rat race. I mentioned here that if you live in New York City, and you've been to Penn Station, or you've been to Times Square, there's also 34th Street, Herald Square. You've been to these places where the major transportation systems are. When it's 8 o'clock, these are the peak hours, from 8 till 9, from 7 till 9 in the morning, and then from 4 p.m. all the way till 6 p.m. everybody looks alike. Suits, tie, white shirt, the ladies, everybody looks alike, and everybody is running in the same direction. If you watch the movie The Matrix, there are pictures of it. I mean, if you just look it up right now as I speak, you will see those pictures. I have seen it in real life in New York City. It's real. So our parents believe in these things. If I listen to my own mother, and I'm not telling you don't listen to your mother, baby girl. If I listen to my own mother, I would continue being in that rat race. Find a job, look for a job, go to school, get a degree, get a job, buy a house, pay mortgage, get a husband, have kids. TikTok, you are dead. You didn't have time to live your own life. Everybody does not have to take that route. Some people, the 9 to 5 is for them, right? But most of us, we leave our African communities, we come to America, or leave our Caribbean communities, we come to America, or even you were born in the African American community, but you believe in the system so much that you think if you don't have these benefits, oh my God, where are you going to get money? How are you going to take care of your family? But then we forget that God is real. Allah is real. And our parents say, I am religious, I believe in God, I believe in Allah, but do they really? Do they believe in Allah? Do they believe in God? Or do they believe in the system? What is it that they believe in? I'll leave it there. The part of yourself, let's go back. Who is your inner child? The part of yourself who feels the world is too big for them. The part of yourself who doesn't know who will be there for them. I never knew who would be there for me, who to talk to, who to trust, who to believe in. Hi OC, OCGZ. I know we had a conversation before, and so, you know, the conversation we had, this is the topic for that. The part of yourself who feels the world is too big for them. The part of yourself who doesn't know who will be there for them. The part of yourself who doesn't know when they will be picked up from school, when they will be fed, right? The part of yourself, let me take this off, because I turned off YouTube. The part of yourself that needed a hug. I talked about this. Hi brother, welcome. The conversation we had, that's basically whenever you see me go live, that's what I talk about. I talked about this, the part of yourself that needed a hug instead of yelling or spanking. Be you a man, be you a woman. Because men need love as well. And most of the time we forget that men need love. But at the same time, us as women, the girl child, we need our mother and we need our father. But many a time people say what? The girl child to the mother and the boy child to the father. Forgetting that the mother and the father is the first love of the child. The male child needs the mother the same way he needs the father, because the mother is the first woman in the boy's life, the same way the father is the first man in the girl's life. So whatever love is given to them by either party, that's how they go out to love men or to love women. If your mother doesn't love you, you might end up not loving yourself. not believing in yourself, not feeling like you are enough. If your father didn't love you, and I'm talking about as a woman, if your father maybe even loved you internally, but it was never showed, right? Needing a hug instead of yelling or spanking, you grow up seeking the validation of men out there. I did all of this, baby girl. I did. Right? For a long time, I have never loved myself. The time you were seeing me, I didn't love myself. I didn't like my smile. Lamin Kaba, when you knew me in Gambia and when we left Gambia, I hated who I was. Even though everybody was like, oh, Yamafai is so beautiful. I'm always like, who? Where? What beauty?
You are.
Honestly, what beauty? Where? How? What smile? Right? I did not like who I was because I look, and two people know what I'm saying. My niece here and Lamin Kaba. I am a photocopy of my mother, and because of the pain and the hurt that I went through, given the fact that I never had to say my mother's name, people see me and they just right away know who my mother is and my father. So that used to drive me bonkers, because I always thought, oh my God, when I grow up, I'm going to be exactly like my mother. So I was always running away from myself. Why? Because I was running away from my mother. The part of yourself that needed someone to protect them from monsters, both real and make-believe. As children, we always think that something is coming after us, right? You're scared of anything and everything. You're beautiful there. I appreciate your beauty. All right, they're going to be off now. I see you, sir, and thank you so much. The part of yourself that wanted to laugh and play and just be a kid. Just be a child. Just enjoy yourself as a child. Just be yourself as a child. Most of us did not have that opportunity. We never had that. Either our parents are telling us what to do, how to act, how to sit, how to walk, how to talk. Before I cut off my own mother, and you know, the people that know me in this life maybe never knew that I did that. I had to cut off my mother. And this is how I am able to be here today to talk about this. Before I cut her off, my younger sister, we were on the phone. People, my younger sister is like in her mid-20s, 25, 26, a grown woman, not a child anymore. I was talking to her on the phone, my younger sister, and she was fighting with my mother on the phone because my mother was screaming at her and telling her where to step her foot. A 20-something-year-old, and your mother is still trying to control your life, how you walk on the street. Don't step your foot there, step your foot over there. You should be everyday queen. Your wisdom is amazing. The everyday is not easy, my love, but I try. So now I'll be trying three days a week for now. And that was wild for me on the phone. And they put me on speaker, and I told my mother, I mean, just don't you think what you're doing is crazy? It seems my little girl is not here anymore. If you're here, just put a put a heart in the chat, my love. If you're here, just put a heart in the chat. Or send me a message. Let me see that you are here. Because I want to hear from you. If you're still here. Hello, Nos I Am. Welcome, everybody. I am wearing the shirt of Nos I Am, a woman empowerment brand. You can find her on TikTok, on Facebook. You can find her on Instagram as well, right? One way that you can help support Black businesses and women-owned businesses is follow their accounts, buy what they sell. Doesn't matter if you need it. If you don't need it, send them a cash app. $1, $5 helps as well, right? Any form of support, healthy support helps as well. Trust me, I know it's hard. I see you doing something every day and that keeps me going too. Oh, such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. So funny, I'm talking about this woman empowerment and then you wrote that. That is the goal, is to empower people. If you go on my Instagram, there's a video that I made of Coach Stormy where she was talking about she needed somebody that, like her, that she didn't get, right? And the reason that I edited that video is because that I needed someone like me that I could not find. My story and Coach Stormy's story is different, but she has inspired me as well. I needed someone that went through the things that I went through. And I didn't get that person, so I became that person. I needed someone who understood how it felt to be raised by women who were bleaching their skins. I needed somebody like me who understood how it feels to constantly hear your mom talk about how God blessed white people. I needed somebody like myself who looks like me, who wanted to love themselves, who knew what their life journey is supposed to be, but they have been gaslit and manipulated by their family to be somebody different, which is why today I'm talking to my niece, right? Because I became the woman that I needed, that I never had. I needed a woman like myself who has a daughter who's biracial, right? But understanding what racism is, what all of these issues are, and for me to talk about it, and people would tell me, but you are in white communities. And I'm like, does that mean I can't talk about these issues? And so I have never seen that woman. I still have not seen that woman. So I became that woman. Okay. So the part of yourself that needed somebody to protect them, yeah. The part of yourself that wanted to laugh and play and just be a kid. The part of yourself that is afraid the world is too scary and that everything is going to fall apart. Hello, Maisha. Welcome. We said that at the same time. Great day, Queen. Nice to have you here. The part of yourself that is afraid the world is too scary and that everything is going to fall apart. That is your inner child. Right? Now, to go back to what I sent my little girl, and I think she left. I don't know. If she's here, please say something. I will tag you in the live anyway, so you can go back to watch this, because this is specifically for you, right? So let's go through the symptoms of childhood trauma. Self-worth is attached to external validation. Your self-worth. And what I realized, just like I realized that a lot of people don't know that these things are a thing. Some people don't even know what self-worth is or how it feels within yourself. You don't know that. You lack self-worth. You don't know that the way that you act, the way that you behave, right? It tells the world that you don't love yourself, that you don't find yourself worthy. It's an idea and it's a feeling deep within yourself where you feel like you don't belong, that you cannot be a part of many things because you feel like people are more educated than you are, people know more than you are, people can do things better than you are. So you feel like, I don't know, you have to learn more, you have to do more, you have to speak more. I was always this person. I always felt like I needed more certificates, right? When I didn't have my associate degree at that time, I felt less than, because these are some things that our families make us feel. Oh, you didn't go to school, or why are you not going to school, or you don't have a job, or why are you not looking for a job? I'm sitting on my scarf and it's not, doesn't feel good. Why are you not looking for a job? Why don't you have a job? This is an issue everywhere. I always tell people there is no difference between Africa, the African American community, and the Caribbean community. The only difference is divide and conquer. We have been told that African Americans are like this, Africans are like this, and Caribbeans are like this. The moment you know yourself, understand all these issues, see how things are, you know that the communities are the same. What I'm doing, my head tie, it's in all three communities. It's an African thing, it's a Caribbean thing, but you also see African Americans do it because it's ours. We are all one. Anyway, right? Self-worth is attached to external validation. You might not know you are doing this, but deep within yourself, right, wanting other people to make you feel good. That's the baseline. You want people to see you. You want people to make you feel good. You want people to tell you who you are. Yes, we are the same people, right? The same people. Absolutely no difference between our communities. So if everything you do as a person, as a woman, as a man, if everything that you do is based on somebody else outside of you giving you the love and the validation and the acceptance that you need to feel good about yourself, then your self-worth is low. And it doesn't, you can be the richest person on earth and still have this issue. Another symptom of childhood trauma, you find yourself in abusive and toxic adult relationships. And not just adult, even in your teen years. You find yourself in friendships I'm drinking water in my Nutribus bottle, so I can tell you to go buy the Nutribus in my you find. So even as a teenager, in our teenage years, right? Many of us, I'm getting better, Afrocentric, I'm getting better. We find, yes, better drink, yes, sometimes I drink too during the day. I know that's a little too much, but I just like the taste and how it feels. In our teenage years, right, we have friends, or we still have not understood what friendship is. So the people that we call friends are just as toxic as the people that we hang out with or attract in our older years. So it starts in childhood, right? As I mentioned before, I know we have talked about it, so I'm always just going back. As I mentioned before, however your parents are, those are the type of people you are going to attract when you grow up. If you look at the men in your life, in your family, the way that they are, that's the same way that the men that you've dated are. The women in your life, and Coach Stormy talks about this a lot, right? If you go to my YouTube channel, there's a particular, I made two playlists now, but there's a particular one called Win Formula, WIN Formula. And in there, I've put a lot of Coach Stormy's videos because I listen to them constantly. And she talks about this issue a lot, given the people that she used to attract when she first started her business, and how it used to drain her, and now who she is today, and the types of men and women that she is attracting now in her life. But you can also see it in your own life. Say you're watching me right now. Some of us have healed enough where we're not attracting those people anymore, right? But for the simple fact that I'm going back, say you're watching me or you were listening, and you think that all your friends are no good, all your friends are unhealthy, all your friends are a pain to be around, or you yourself, when you post online, you are saying, oh, I am the baddest bitch, oh, these people can do me this, or these people that, or you're throwing shade at other people. There's no other people, it's all you. I say that because I know somebody who's doing that right now, who thinks that, you know, she's the shit and everybody needs to change, and she shouldn't change, and she's throwing shade at everybody. If you do that, the problem is not the people, the problem is you. Because when you change, your surroundings change. The people that you hang around with, what you do with your life, it changes. Let me give you a story. Just recently, I sold energy. You know, I always talk about this because I use it in my coffee. I'm still drinking my coffee since 7 in the morning. I sold energy. Now, the person that I sold this one to is somebody that I truly respect. I respect him a lot. And so I was telling him about focus, how it has been difficult for me to focus, how it has been difficult for me to concentrate, right? And that I've been using this in my coffee because, you know, another reason I love him is a lot of the things that I love, he loves. I love coffee, he loves coffee. You know, I love dark beer. He loves dark beer, even though I'm stopping because I don't want my daughter seeing me with that. Hi. Right, so I told him about, and then I said, so I have changed the people that I hang around with. And I also drink this with my coffee, and that has helped me focus. And he looked at me and was like, yeah, the people that you hang around with. If you look at your surrounding, however your surrounding is, that's what's inside of you. Hi, Miss Karen. I don't know if you hopped off, but if you're here, so the people that we attract are just a mirror of us. The way they talk, the way they act, what they do in their life, how they eat, how they behave. The people that we attract are a mirror of us. That's why when people talk to me now, since I've started doing this live, believe it or not, I'll have some people come ask me certain things, or they would ask me to do spiritual work for them, and I'm like, I don't do spiritual work. The spiritual work that you need is working on yourself, and when you do that, you will be able to do the spiritual work, right? I don't do spiritual work for people, but I'll do it for myself, right? So they would ask me, oh, so my partner this, or this man that. And it's mostly women. What if you can't get away? You can get away from those people, my love. I did it. You can get away from those people. And I know what you are asking. You can. It's a risk. Afrocentric, you're the only one on TikTok, and I know you love whatever I say. So let me explain to my little girl. Let me first start by telling you it will be painful, it will be risky, and you might get disowned. You might have to be alone and lonely in the journey. But nothing is impossible. It is possible. You can do it. If you remember, when I was there and I was pregnant with my daughter, I was running away from people, right? And I went there because I thought it would be different. But when I came there, the reason that I forced to leave the house and get my own apartment is because I saw these things that I was talking about. But what I didn't notice was that one of the main people that was traumatizing for me was my own mother, the woman who gave birth to me, your grandmother. Well, your grandmother too, but I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your cousin. So, okay, the difference is, right, luckily, I don't live in the same house with my mother. And child, I hope your mother will not listen to this. She will not, I know. Because if she knows that I'm telling you, well, I hope it helps her, because she will see that most of the things that is happening with her and that has been going on with her has been a cycle. And I've talked to her about this when I was there, but I'm part of the youngest people in the family, and so when you're young and you're talking about these issues, People just think that you're too young to know anything, and it's not being too young. It's possible. It's possible, but I am going to prepare you and let you know it is not going to be as easy as eating ice cream. It will be a painful journey, but you have to decide what it is that you want for yourself, deep in your soul, in your heart. And I know nobody has ever talked to you like this, baby, and so I want to talk to you like this, because nobody has ever talked to me like this. What do you want deep within yourself? I gave you my number. You can text me and let me know. You can send me a message on Instagram. Apart from what mommy said, apart from what daddy said, apart from what society said, right? This is how a woman is supposed to be. This is how a girl is supposed to be. Because girl, I know your talent. I know the things you can do. I've seen you. We took pictures when I was pregnant, right? Creatively, you have a lot of talent. So you have to sit with yourself. First of all, understand that in your head, there are voices in your head, and most of those voices is not your voice. It's the voice of your mother, it's the voice of your father, it's the voice of your grandmother back home. So you have to be able to hear your own voice, that little voice deep within yourself that you always silence, right? Because the voice tells you this is what you want to do, this is what you have to do, this is what you like to do. But because your mother is telling you, no, do this, because when you do it, you will get more benefits in America, you are silencing that voice within yourself. My love, this is why you are confused and you don't know what to do with your life. You know what to do with your life, but everybody is telling you that this is not what you should do with your life. Maybe it doesn't make money, right? Maybe you can't apply to the system to get whatever benefits it is that the family wants. What do you want? Who do you want to be? When you are 80 years old and you sit down with your grandchildren, what stories do you want to tell them? I'm getting emotional, right? When you die and we say you are not here no more, what is it you want people to say about you? If tomorrow was your funeral and I was the one going there to give your, how do you pronounce it? Eulogy. Whenever I want to pronounce something, I look at Afrocentric. Right? Your eulogy. And I have to talk right there at your funeral, your casket. What would you want me to say? How do you want people to describe you? What is that one thing that when you do it, you feel so much joy that you can do it for hours and not feel tired? If I followed my parents, my mother specifically, I would be a doctor or a lawyer. Health, I would be a doctor or a lawyer. I spoke to my uncle not long ago on the phone. I don't talk to him anymore. I tell you, when I want to spell something, I always like look at your picture like, oh, Afro-centered. Right? I spoke to my uncle and I said that my associate's degree is in psychology. And his answer was, why didn't you go in the health field? And I was like, psychology is in the health field. Isn't psychology in the health field? Psychology is an aspect of health. It's the emotional well-being of our people that we need, right? But we are from societies where if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, you are a failure. Indian, African, Caribbean, you know, even in some African American communities, the white coat, if you're not wearing the white coat, you are a failure. These are issues. So you have to decide that. Sit with yourself, whatever it is, right? And however, and I know this is going to be difficult for you, however you can find quiet and silence, because you are a grown woman now. You are not a kid. I'm not talking about the American mentality. I'm not talking about African mentality. I'm talking to you as a human being who has a soul, who can think for, you know, that's my baby girl. She is bringing a part of me out. You have a soul. You have a mind. You can think for yourself. You can feel. You know what you want. You know who you want to be. So you need to sit in silence and that bring that aspect of you out. Will you be hated? Yes. Will your family understand? No. But you decide what is it you want to do. Right? Now that I have told you this, the moment you hear something or know something, you cannot unknow it. I personally have already been hated by my family. Not necessarily hated, right? Find your way. Find your way. Play Beyonce's song, Find Your Way Back. And You Can't Break My Soul. Those two songs. Find your way back. You know what you want to do. You know it. Just everybody is telling you that you don't want to do that. Because it is not beneficial for them. You have to take care of your family. Why? Your family has to take care of you. Your family has to take care of you. And they take care of you by taking care of them. Do you have to take care of your family? That problem that we put on our children is what? Monetary. You have to bring in the money. You have to put food on the table. And then we let our children sell their soul. I know, my love, you've never seen this part of me, but I'm telling you, I've been through the hell. I've been through the pain. And I've been through the hurt. And what I'm telling you is not from school. It's from experience. Most of the time that you would see me there, I was constantly running. And I'm not running anymore. So toxic adult relationships, you know, in abusive relationships, and that's all part of a destructive habit that we have. And destructive habits can be so many different things. Relationships, food, stress, pain, sex, right? Even our parents not teaching us about ourselves, we end up adopting destructive habits. People pleasing. The lady that I have been trying to find her name all this while is Mel Robbins. Follow her, read her stuff, listen to her podcast, Mel Robbins, right? Mel Robbins recently, she posted on Instagram and she was saying that adult people pleasers were children people pleasers. So if you are a people pleaser, you've always been trying to please your mother and your father, whoever raised you, even if you're from the foster care system. Your entire life, let me sit properly. Your entire life you've been trying to please whoever raised you. So you grow up wanting to please everybody. You don't want to be criticized. You want people to love you wherever you go. Most people don't even know that they're doing this. But you're people pleasing. You want men to love you. You want men to see you. You're trying to please your partner. If you don't have a partner, right, it goes back to external validation. If you are a man, you want all the women to love you, to see you, right? Most people who are womanizers, I'm not saying everybody because I don't know, but when it comes to trauma-wise, Nene, stop. Trauma-wise, most people, men who are womanizers, the same as women who want men to look at them, or just in general people to look at them and love them, people pleasing, seeking validation, right? Because your entire childhood or your entire life up until you understand the trauma that you've been through, you've always been looking for love, looking for somebody to love you, anybody to love you, to the point you don't even know who's healthy for you and who's not healthy for you. Mel Robbins, yes, there's a difference between fitting in and belonging. Right? Look Mel Robbins up. I don't believe that we can fit in or belong anywhere until we fit into ourselves and feel that we belong deep within our heart and our soul from experience. Because if you don't feel like you belong here on earth, if you don't fit in your soul, yes, I always save the lives. I'll save it. If you want, I can tag you to it, and so you can have it in your messages and whenever you want to come back to it, right? Because if there's an issue in your heart, right, and this is the gesture we use as heart, but some people say the heart is here, the heart is here. I don't know, so I'm just using here. It also feels good. If here it's not healthy, doesn't feel good, there's no stress in it, you can't belong or fit anywhere else. But the moment you feel like you belong to your own self, to your own heart, and you're okay with yourself, and you fit within yourself, your soul, your heart, your being, your mind, in your skin, then there's a lot of places that you cannot fit and you cannot belong. Why? Because now you know yourself and you know who you are and you know your worth. And you know that a lot of relationships are below you. Not as in below you, you are better than them, but it doesn't stand with your values. It breaks down your boundaries. It's not good for your health and well-being. Fitting in, pretending to be who you are not. Belonging is being yourself without judgment. Here. It all starts here. When this is right and you feel good within here, you don't care. Because now you are in touch with yourself. Not being able to connect to your own needs. Being confused, it starts with you, right? Being confused of who you are, of what to do in your life, what your purpose is, what your vision is, who you... It's because you cannot connect to your needs. That's part of childhood trauma. Because as a child, you were never able to connect to yourself. Because our parents tell us everything. They think for us. They talk for us. They tell us how to feel. So we don't even know how we feel. And sometimes even the way that we feel, we gaslight ourselves. If you don't know what gaslighting is, please look it up. Questioning your own reality. We manipulate ourselves because our entire lives, our parents have been thinking for us. So we cannot think. And this is why most of us believe in the system. We believe in the matrix because we are not taking the time to think. Because the moment you start thinking, was it Malcolm? See, I'm back here again looking at Afrocentric. It's a reflex. Was it Malcolm X who said this? That, you know, what society, was he talking about society or white people that are afraid of? Is a thinking black man and a thinking black woman. But that's in general. As a human being, the moment you start thinking, everybody labels you crazy. Starting from your own family. Because you are thinking. And the moment you start thinking outside of the box. The box is the system. The box is the matrix. Nene, no, ndohla. It's just water. Go take the one. Leave me alone. Damal jël bi nekk sa fridge bi. Right? Because the matrix, society, is we all think in the box. When we go to school, we get told to color within the lines, to write within the lines, to sit up straight, because we were not being educated. We were being trained to get a job, to go into the military, to be part of the Air Force, right? Because everything you do in school is what you do at your job. Sit straight in your cubicle or in your office, right? You go early in the morning, go into school, you know. Go into school, you get your backpack, wake up in the morning, you get ready, you get dressed. If your mother or your father or your family is unconscious, first thing in the morning, they'll be screaming at you early in the morning. So by the time you leave the house, you are already stressed out. The same thing. You wake up in the morning for work, you're already stressed out. Why? Because, oh my God, it's Monday again. You have to go to work. Oh my God, it's Monday again. You have to go to school. You get ready. There's traffic. Everybody is stressed out. You need coffee. You need this. You need that to get there. And then you get to school. You do assembly in school. The same thing. You get to work. There's the morning meetings that you do at work. right? And then after assembly, you go to class. You sit down. The teachers tell you what to think, how to write, what is life. The same thing. After the morning meeting, your boss or whoever gives you the schedule of the day, the agenda or whatever it is of the day, the sales numbers that you need to make for the day, whatever your work is, numbers you have to hit. You go to your office, go to your cubicle, right? It's sometimes it's different for certain sales people, right? Because sales people are usually much freer than other people or other jobs, but it depends. But it's the same thing, right? And then you are in school or at work for maybe 5 hours. And then you need to take a break. In school, the bell rings. You go out. You take a break. You eat. That's the time you're free. You play with your friends. Get on your phone. That's if you have a phone, right? Something to stimulate you, to give you the boost, the, what is it called? The dopamine. The food, the phone, and the food. Sometimes you're not hungry after class or after work during lunchtime, but you need to eat because when you're not going to eat again for another 4 or 5 hours. In school, you drink your juice and they feed you or whatever. At work, it's the same thing. You have the coffee there. They buy you pizza, give you the dopamine hit, give you food, and then they give you the time that you need to get back in to start work, the time you need to get back in for school. And then you go sit back in your office, make the calls, you sit back on your desk, take the test, take the exam, whatever it is that you need to do. And then 5 o'clock in school, maybe 4 o'clock or 2, you ring the bell, you leave. That's the end of the school day. That's the end of work, right? Overtime hours at work is the same as in school. When you have the extra hours, study hours, or whatever it is called nowadays, after school programs that we put our children in. You go to after school, right? At work, that could be your overtime hours. You get paid extra to stay at work, to do more work. At school, you do after school program. Why? Because that gives you more time to study, to be more of a slave. Resist the slave mind. That's my bio. That's my call to action. Resist the slave mind. We get trained to do all of these things. The moment you start thinking outside of that box, people say you are crazy. And it starts with our family. Okay. Difficulty forming secure attachments. If, given everything that I've explained, which means if you've been through all of that like I have, right, that means the relationship that you have as a child with your parents wasn't healthy, wasn't secure, not secure as in safe, but also secure as in safe, but it wasn't healthy, it wasn't smooth, it didn't feel good. So because of that, all your relationships are that way. Relationships, friendships, whatever ships, you act and behave the same way. Like I have said, the relationships that we had with our parents is the same relationship that we continue to have up until we break the cycle. And I hope you are still here, my love. If you are and you have a question, feel free to ask. Difficulty asking for help. I have never been able to ask for help, because whenever I asked for help, it was a problem. Or my parents would tell me, why would you ask for help? Why would you ask them for help? As if we don't have enough. Why would you ask for this? As if we didn't feed you, or we didn't take care of you. Blah, blah, blah. If you listen to Tony Robbins, he always talked about this issue, where growing up, right, they were dirt poor, and so when Christmas, they didn't have enough. They didn't have food at home for people who celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate anything anymore. So he said that, I memorized this, and I'm going to paraphrase. He said, somebody rang their doorbell to bring them food and toys and whatever it is. And his father was angry because this person wanted to help them. But for him, Tony Robbins, as a child, he was just thinking, oh, we have Christmas gifts. Somebody remembered us. But for his father, he felt less than, because he wasn't able to give his children what they needed, and instead a total stranger did it for them. I relate to that, because that was my upbringing. We never celebrated Christmas. Well, our celebration of Christmas in the Gambia is different, right? It's like the Caribbean carnival. We have that during Christmas. Carnival out, people, face paint and costumes and dancing and drumming, and that's our Christmas celebration, called Egere and hunting, and that culture is from Ghana and Nigeria. So some of the organizers would go to Ghana, in the bush or forest in Ghana and Nigeria, and then when it's time, they will come back to the Gambia and host the event. And I went through the same issue, right? I have always said I am not from a poor African family. So what people talk about poverty in Africa, I really did not experience it. But, hi, you can hear me. So it's like, when it comes to asking for help, it didn't matter what help that we needed. We could not go out to ask people for help unless, and of course, we can pay them, or we can give them something in return. That was our asking for help. So for me, even as I grew up, I could not tell people to do anything for me unless I can reciprocate. So one symptom, of childhood trauma is difficulty asking for help. Do you feel pain and heart palpitation within yourself when you want to ask for help? I do. I still do. The next one, difficulty setting boundaries. And I wonder if my little girl is still here, right? Difficulty setting boundaries in general. Healthy or toxic boundaries. You just cannot set them. Or you just break the boundaries. Yes, I can hear you. Yay! You break the boundaries. Why? Because at home, there were no boundaries. You had no boundaries. Your parents did not even care about you having a boundary. Right? It's that idea of, this is my house. You do what I want. You do what I say. So all the feelings are immersed together. Jahaso, that's how we call it in Wolof. Jahaso. Everybody, everything is You don't know where you start and where you end. You don't know where your family starts and where your family ends. Right? The way you think you are the one thinking, but it's everybody thinking for you. Fear of abandonment, symptoms of childhood trauma. Fear of abandonment, be it parents, be it loved ones, be it whoever. You're scared people are going to leave you. You're scared people are not going to love you. Right? Even if you get into a toxic relationship, you hold on to that relationship with dear life. Why? Because you think if you leave the guy, or if you leave the woman, or if you leave the person, nobody else is going to love you. Because your family haven't given you enough love for you to love yourself. So you just hold on to everything. Hold on to everybody. Fear of abandonment. I have told this story before where growing up, right, I would always think in my mind, and I would look at every friend the same way. Like, oh, I have a new friend. When are they going to leave me? They're going to leave me at any point. So I would do anything to hold on to that friend. Go out of my way. Or I start dating somebody and it's like, oh, when are they going to leave me? Even when they're not treating me right. And this is a reason why most people will stay in toxic relationships, just because, you know, they think without that person, be it a man or a woman, they're nothing. My own mother is still in that kind of marriage. They're holding on to it. And the last one for symptoms of childhood trauma, and then I will recap, is nothing feels enough. You don't feel good enough. Your parents didn't make you feel good enough. Your friends don't make you feel good enough. Why? Because you don't feel like you are good enough. You feel that nothing you do is enough. Deep within your heart, you always feel like you are not enough. Right? When we get our task list in the real world, every day we get a task list, and it would always say you can look at yourself in the mirror, deeply in the eye, and be honest that you've done everything that you could do for the day. But if you don't feel enough within yourself, that means it doesn't matter what you do, it is not enough. Right? I can give you one example. For me, growing up, it did not matter who I dated. He was never enough. For my family. So I always looked at men as if they were not enough, because I didn't feel enough. I would always wonder, and I was great at picking up all the terrible things in the man. That is the way that I was raised, to see the nastiness and all the worst in a person. So when people say, oh, you are so nice, oh, you're so happy, oh, you're so good, and I'm like, child. It took work to see the good in myself, that I am enough. Hi, we have to try Simon, sorry, I always mess up your name, it's unique, right? Hi. We have to try to look on reflection in the mirror and tell ourselves we are enough. Words spoken. Yes. Look at yourself in the mirror. When you take pictures, you are enough. You feel enough, because not being enough is words spoken to you at some point in your life. So you feel like it doesn't matter what you do, it is not enough, right? And that not enoughness, it's a feeling deep in your soul that you can feel. But if you don't know that this is what you are feeling, then you go on and think that everybody and everything needs to change, or people need to do more. And if they don't do more, then it's heart palpitations. At least for me, that's how I used to be. Like, chop, 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 let's go. Oh my God, right? This. Right? And then I had to see that, oh my God, it has nothing to do with other people. I just don't feel enough within myself. And that, again, is words spoken, which is why affirmations, meditations, being around people who are doing these things is so powerful. Just like my little girl was saying, but if you cannot get away from those people, because some of us can't, because we live with those people, they are our family, and it's hard to get away from them. Why? Because we have been made to believe, and society have made us to believe that honor thy mother, honor thy father. What your mother said is right, what your father said is right, what your family said is true. That is also an aspect of manipulation. Now, I am not saying do not honor your mother and your father. That is very different. But some of us who relate to what I am saying, you have to rethink your family for your own health and well-being. You have to rethink your life. Oh my God, let me check our school. We were supposed to have it's finished. I will watch it later. We are having a Terminator AMA. Terminator Ask Me Anything in the Real World. It's always exciting in there. They're so intense. It's crazy, but I love it. So let's recap before we go to 7 symptoms of stress, right? Nene, yange yangal kamera be. Okay, let's recap. Symptoms of childhood trauma. Self-worth is attached to external validation. Find self in abusive and toxic adult relationships. People pleasing. Not being able to connect to your own needs. Difficulty forming secure attachments. Difficulty asking for help. Difficulty setting boundaries. Fear of abandonment. Nothing feels enough. You don't feel enough. Now, symptoms of stress. Symptoms of stress, right? Frequent crying. Frequent crying. I always say that there's nothing wrong with crying, right? Crying is a release. You are releasing whatever pain, whatever hurt that you're going through, or whatever it is. But if you are frequently crying, something is up. I was that person who was always crying, right? But I would hide somewhere to cry. I could not I couldn't show emotions. But an aspect of frequently crying is stress. Like I said, crying in itself is healthy, right? When you are transitioning or when you are transforming, when you are changing, of course, you will go through that release of crying. But if you are crying more often than you would like to, check what's going on. What's making you cry? What's the stress that you are experiencing? There you go, feeling extra sensitive or overwhelmed. Overwhelmed with the work that you're doing. Overwhelmed with the people that are around you. Overwhelmed. Why? Because mentally, things are too much. Everything is too much because of the chaos that's going on in your mind. Because of the hurt, because of the pain, everything is chaotic in your head, so you're overwhelmed. That makes us sensitive. You are agitated, constantly agitated, for absolutely no reason most times. And sometimes, well, it's right here, right? Mood swings, loss of temper, irritability, which is what I was about to explain, right? The 17 symptoms of stress: frequent crying, feeling extra sensitive or overwhelmed, mood swings, loss of temper, irritability. And mood swings, I think I've explained this before. If you watch Dr. Joe Dispenza, I watch him way too much. Dr. Joe Dispenza, in one of his symposium is coming to mind, but it's not a symposium. He was speaking somewhere, and he was explaining how something will happen to you 5 years ago, but you are holding on to that pain. And then you haven't let go or healed yourself or moved on from that pain. Now it becomes a mood. And people will ask, what's wrong with you? You say, well, I have a mood. That mood becomes a personality. And then people will say, oh, that's her personality. Oh, be careful, she or he loses her or his temper easily. Stress. I had that in my family. One of my uncles, right? The whole family will tell you, oh, be careful with him. He loses his temper easily. Irritability, always irritated by something, by people, by anybody. You're always irritated. By your siblings, right? My little girl knows what I'm saying. Always irritated by your siblings. You don't want them around you because they irritate you. That irritability comes from the parents that always made you feel I was just talking about this. Having a hard time concentrating is a symptoms of stress. Right? I was just mentioning it when I was talking about the NRG. I have that issue of difficulty concentrating given stress, family stress, surrounding stress, traumatic stress. In psychology, most times it's called toxic stress. So you cannot concentrate for the life of you. When I was on therapy, let me take a look at this. When I was on therapy, that was one of my biggest issues. And I constantly talk to my therapist about it. that I was not able to concentrate. I could not focus. That is why one of my classes in school 2 semesters ago, I didn't complete it until this semester because of all the stress that I was facing and going through and trying to figure out. Right? And family wasn't helping because when they call, especially, you know, the person I always talk about, they always ask me for what? Money. Are you working? Can you ask somebody to give you some money? Can you ask somebody to loan you some money? Can you borrow some money somewhere? Can you sell something of yours? The same issue when it comes to, right, when I was telling my little girl here about the family saying you need to take care of them. So we put all this stress on our children, and then we think that we're doing good for them. Having a hard time concentrating, lacking motivation. There's a post that I read the other time where Jim Rohn said that motivation will get you started, but habit will keep you going. But if you lack the motivation to actually start, then it's hard. Then everything is hard. Lacking motivation is an aspect of stress, especially toxic stress. Imagining and dwelling on worst case scenarios. This was me. Constantly ruminating in my head. What if they say that? Right? I talked about Neville Goddard and what he... Then they turn on my fan, please. I want to light this. Okay, well, yeah. Turn it off, right? Make it easier. I talked about Neville Goddard. Let me see. Neville Goddard, where he was talking about how I forgot the analogy that he was saying. Talking to ourselves, speaking to ourselves in our head, and it says that here. One of the symptoms is imagining and dwelling on worst case scenarios. So it's a friend. If a friend is coming to visit you, if a friend is coming to talk to you, or whatever it is, or whoever it is, your boss or whatever, you are always imagining what could go worse, what could go wrong. Instead of thinking, what if it will actually work, right? My little girl here asking me, what if you cannot get away from those people? It's stress. She didn't even know that she had stress, which is why she asked me, what is trauma? When I told her the reason that you are not able to know what to do with your life is because of trauma. So what she asked is imagining the worst case scenario of what if you cannot leave those people who are toxic because they are family. And I've been through that. So the rumination, the constantly thinking, I'm going to talk to her like that, right? Just wait, just wait. This is what I'm going to tell Afrocentric, and if she talks back at me, I'm going to tell her this. You know, I can't find this job. They will not hire me. Worst case scenarios. What if they don't want me? What if my resume? What if I don't apply for the Air Force? What if I don't? What if? But what if it actually works? Right? What if I am fighting with Afrocentric in my mind, but then I talk to her and then she tells me the best thing, and I'm just like, what? But if the conversations of your family of your mother, of your father, of your environment, of the people that are around you is always negative, then you will not be able to help it. Everything you think about will be negative. Every single thing you think about will be negative. About yourself, about people, what might happen, what might not happen. It's like thinking about good will just erode you. Like the idea of something good, you just cannot imagine it. It's like when I told someone that, oh, I was lucky. And she said, you were lucky or you worked for it? Imposter syndrome. The real world, my teachers in the real world destroyed imposter syndrome for me because they don't believe in those things. I mean, they believe in it, right? Just recently, the AMA last time that I had to run away from when I was live, somebody was asking about imposter syndrome, one of the students, and the professor told him, I think, or her, the professor said, basically, right, on a base level, imposter syndrome is when you are making money and you cannot believe that you are actually making that amount of money or that it was that easy. Oops, the alarm is on, right? It's when you think, oh my God, my entire life they were telling me it was hard to make money. But now look at the amount of money I'm making. And you cannot believe that you are the one doing that. So you feel like a fraud. You feel like you're scamming people. Sleep or digestive issues. For a long time, I couldn't sleep, or when I slept, I didn't want to wake up. As I always say, the business that I do is not a mistake, right? It's not just to make money, because when I talk about trauma, I can always attach it to every product that I have. Digestive issues, right? Cleansing is very important. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is the last day for the watermelon tea pre-sale. Digestive issues, not being able to go to the bathroom, heartburn issues, right? Whatever you eat, it doesn't go down. It stops here, it stops here, it stops here. I used to have that. There were times where I would get sick and I didn't know why I was sick, but then it felt like I had this lump in my throat, that the food that I ate wasn't going down. I didn't know that this was a symptom of stress. I would go to the hospital. Back home in the Gambia, when I came to America, I would always have this issue where it would just here, a lump, it would be there. There are some people that cannot use the bathroom. We have so many of these testimonies in our groups where people would say that they will go on days they will not be able to use the bathroom. Right? I had a friend growing up and I didn't know this was an issue of trauma. But I have seen her being spanked and hit and screamed at by her family. They will take her to the hospital and she will be admitted because she wasn't able to use the bathroom. And her grandmother sometimes will embarrass her with us, so that's an added stress, an added trauma. right? Because the fact that she's not able to go to the bathroom, she was already ashamed of herself. This was my closest friend in school. But I was going through my own trauma, so I didn't know that she was traumatized. I actually thought that, I wanted to live with her and her grandmother. Because if my family was middle class and they were like the upper middle class, she couldn't use the bathroom. So when I talk about cleansing, the cleansing products I sell, or even tell you about the herbs that you can use to make your own tea, make your own cleansing products at home from the grocery store, look at your life. How do you feel right now? Memory problems is stress and trauma. I've mentioned here how a chunk of my childhood I don't remember because of the trauma. And it's not that I intentionally try to forget it, or selective memory. Selective memory is a thing, right? Where there are certain things you just intentionally don't want to remember. Even though you remember them, but you tell people that you don't remember. Selective memory. But there is memory problems. If you look up that aspect of trauma in psychology, like deep, real things, not just the societal way of explaining it, right? An aspect of trauma is not being able to remember things or remember your childhood. A chunk of your childhood or a chunk of your development, you just have no idea what happened. That can be because of the traumatizing things that happen, that pain and hurt. Your mind, I can't remember who said this, but your mind or your brain just erased it or pushed it down so far that you cannot remember, because our brain, our mind is always trying to protect us. I'll have to read that again to be able to explain it better. But you can look it up for yourself. Like I always say, never believe what I say. Just pick what you need, go research for yourself. Difficult time making decisions. For my little girl here, she told me that. Being confused, not knowing what to do with her life. But generally, us as people, so you see people have a difficulty making decisions. You just cannot decide. I go to the grocery store and I don't know what apple to buy, right? Or I go shopping to buy clothes, even if it's on the sale rack. It's so hard for me to decide what to buy. Now is different, right? Now is different. I go somewhere depending on how it fits or what I need, or I write down my grocery list. I can decide, because I have also heard people that I listen to, rich people and all of that. I listen to a lot of rich people, and they would say that the 1%, they make decisions quickly, but they are very slow to change it. But us poor people, we have a difficulty making decisions, and then we change our decision very quickly. Why I say that? I was that person. That can be an aspect of trauma where you just cannot make decisions. Not only can't you make decisions, but the people around you, they themselves cannot make decisions. They can't decide. Right? I always say that my mother has always been my closest communication. And it was hell talking to her. It has always been help talking to her because she can't decide on what she wants or on what she wants or what to do. And so me as her child, just cleansing. Woo! Don't burn my tie. Just cleansing the energy, right? Me as her child, when I go to her for decision making, for advice, of course, who else would you go to? She still cannot decide or give me a firm advice or a good advice. So she would tell me to go to somebody else, to ask them for their opinion and to decide for me, right? So my entire childhood up until my 20s, I could not decide for myself what to wear, what to eat, who to date, how to think, what I wanted. That's a part of trauma. That's a part of stress, right? Let me recap it. 17 symptoms of stress: frequent crying, feeling extra sensitive or overwhelmed, mood swings, loss of temper, irritability, having a hard time concentrating, lacking motivation, imagining and dwelling on worst case scenarios, sleep or digestive issues, memory problems, difficult time making decisions, procrastinating or avoiding responsibilities. Whoa, I didn't know that. Afrocentric what? Did she drop off the live? I want to know what she didn't know. She'll be back. So procrastinating or avoiding responsibilities. I talked about how, in the real world, we were taught that most of us, we feel like wealth and money and being rich is just going to drop on our laps. Like it's just something that would drop on decision making. Yeah. Yeah. Having problems with decision making is part of stress because there's too much happening in the head. It's also an aspect of trauma. Because just think about it this way. The only way that you can learn to make decisions is if as a child you were given the opportunity to make decisions. It's like what the monk Dandapani is the monk that inspired me to live in a Zen monastery or to find a Zen monastery to do meditation in a temple. Dandapani said that as a child, we always tell our children, focus, concentrate, pay attention. And then he asked the room, okay, were you ever taught how to concentrate and pay attention and to focus? And everybody in the room said no. So if you don't teach your child, or if you've never been taught how to focus and concentrate, and everybody is telling you to focus and to concentrate, you don't know how to focus and concentrate. It's not just going to happen one day. And the same thing happened to me. Right? In my language, they will say, Bail sa hell, pay attention. Bail sa hell, pay attention. But I'm thinking, I'm paying attention the best way I know how. But I wasn't paying attention, but nobody ever taught me to pay attention. The same way with decision making. To make a decision, You cannot be stressed. Even in a stressful situation, right? Your mind has to be free enough for you to be able to make a decision. Which goes to procrastination also, and avoiding responsibility. Because if you make a decision, you have to take responsibility for the decision that you make. But if you are stressed, your mind is chaotic. It's on, and there's so much going on in your head. How can you make a decision? But also, if as a child, you were never given the opportunity to make a decision, right? As a child, you were never given the opportunity at home to make a decision with anything. How will you grow up to make a decision? Or know how to make a decision? Or even say you go to your family, like I explained, me going to my own mother, asking for advice, asking for direction in terms of decision making, but she herself cannot make the decision. So she would send me to other family members, other people, have friends who don't give a, hoo-ha, like we say in our language. Who don't give a hoo-ha what happens to me. So I have never even seen anybody close to me that I talk to make a decision. It's an aspect of stress. You go to the grocery store. Right now, consumers, we go through that stress, right? Because there are so many varieties. You go to the grocery store, there are 50 different types of apples, 50 different types of grapes. You see so many different types of salad, lettuce. Me as a child, I only knew lettuce. But here, different. Toothpaste. You have a gazillion types of toothpaste. So just even picking one is stressful. So decision making is stressful. And we live this every single day. It's a constant. To the point where we don't even know that's going on. Right? And there are times where you go to the store, mostly with shopping, whatever type of shopping, shoes and clothes, you see tellers and associates and salespeople and whatever, so many of them, to do what? To help you make a decision on what to buy. Stress. Procrastination. Mel Robbins says that procrastination is a habit. It's not a disease. You have a habit of procrastinating. You've procrastinated so much that now you're used to procrastinating. So you procrastinate. Because when you procrastinate, it's an easy way not to make a decision, to avoid responsibilities. Because when you don't procrastinate, you make a decision. When you make a decision, you have to take responsibility of that decision. Anxious or racing thoughts, your mind is an overdrive. I don't like hoping. I don't like shopping because of decision making. Me too. I don't go shopping. Right? I don't go shopping. I would rather sit at home and think about it for weeks until I know exactly what I want to buy before I go shopping. I don't like shopping. Never liked shopping because of having to make a decision of what to buy. It's stressful. It's stressful. Symptoms of stress, decision making. Anxious or racing thoughts, which is why what I explained here before when it came to meditation, right? People think that she said I procrastinate. Yeah, it's a habit. There's a very old video of Mel Robbins and she was talking about that procrastination is a habit. You have a habit of procrastinating. It's not a disease, but it's a habit. And it is. I'm going to delete this video from YouTube and then I'll download from either Facebook or Instagram. I think Instagram. Instagram always looks gorgeous. I love it. Right? So, it's a habit. You have a habit of procrastinating. If your family procrastinates, you're used to procrastinating, you watch everybody procrastinating, that's all you've ever seen, then it becomes a habit. But the anxious and racing thoughts, right? The people say, oh, my mind is on overdrive. I used to say that. People say, oh, I have a headache. Headache can be an aspect of racing thoughts. Your mind is not rested. You can't think, right? Your mind is just... It is also the reason why a lot of people say that they cannot meditate or they think that meditation is not for them. Why? Because they think that when they sit down to meditate, and meditation is not about sitting down to meditate. Meditation is a way of life, is a way of being. Just the same way that manifestation and quantum leaping is a way of life, right? It's a lifestyle. The same way what I mentioned the other time, health and well-being is a lifestyle. So meditation is a lifestyle. It's not about sitting down to meditate. And so a lot of people say they cannot meditate because they think that when they are physically meditating, that their mind is supposed to be silent. That they're supposed to be able, right? Even the supposed to be, or I should be able to quiet my mind, that's trauma and stress. So some people meditate or put the intention to meditate to silence their mind, to quiet their mind. But that's not what meditation is for. Meditation is for you to be able to see what is going on in your mind. That's my explanation. Some people might have something different, because that's how I saw it. What is going on in your mind? And then when you meditate, you are able to break that autopilot, that anxious racing thoughts, right? Because like I said, when you meditate, there's always that window where you are aware that, okay, you are sitting down to meditate, but maybe for 30 seconds or for 1 minute, you've left the room. You're not here anymore. Maybe, you know, like me, I want to live in Jamaica. I'm sitting here to meditate and my mind has gone to Jamaica, thinking about Jamaica, right? So even though I'm here, I have quantum leapt, if that's a correct word. Quantum leapt. I've left, traveled, time traveled where I want to be. So my thoughts are racing, or I'm sitting in this room to meditate, but I'm fighting with someone in my mind, quarreling, the issues that happen. That's why when you sit to meditate, they tell you what? Let everything go. Right? Forget about what happened. Just be here in the room. Just be here now. Be in the present moment. Because when you are in the present moment, absolutely to observe, right? When you are in the present moment, you see that nothing is happening. Everything is fine. The pain and whatever you might be going through, it might be of yesterday, and the anxiety is all about, oh my God, what's going to happen? That hasn't happened yet. Oh my God. Oh, fighting with somebody in your mind yesterday. So when you meditate, there's always that window that you are like, I wasn't focused, I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't here. And that is the most important second in your meditation. And we get that second even when we don't sit to meditate. We always get that awareness when we are present, when we are here. But we are not aware of it. I'm not saying this because I am always aware of it. I'm saying this because I know it happens to me and it happens to people, and I am learning to be better at it. I am a whole lot better at it now because the people that I surround myself with, that I talk to every day, you know, this is the route they are taking. So I am a whole lot better at seeing that I am stressed, I am anxious, I am getting into that rabbit hole of depression, right? Because like I said, in Girl Hold My Hand, we meditate every morning at 8 in the morning. Every day. From Monday to Thursday, we meditate, right? So there's always that surrounding of people where you are held responsible for the way that you think and for the way you act. Anyway, let's go on. 17 symptoms of stress. Chest pain or dizziness, I mentioned this, right? Chest pain. Chest pain. Heart attacks are not natural. Dizziness. I used to sit out of the blue and it will just feel like everything is moving. I wouldn't faint, right? But I feel like, oh, I'm about to faint. And then I would go lie down. All these symptoms I have experienced, especially dizziness. I remember there's this memory coming back to me. I remember there was this time I and a friend we were on the train in Brooklyn. Was it in Brooklyn? Yeah, we were on the train, and this wasn't when I just came to America. For anybody who would think, oh, maybe you just came to America and you're not used to the train. No, I have never had seasick I actually love the ocean. So when the train is going over the bridge, I absolutely love that. I love the train. But that day, just out of the blue, I just started throwing up and then felt dizzy, like I was about to fall. Luckily, my friend, a guy, was there. He's a friend, but you know, they have always been my family in New York. So it's like a family friend. Well, I am their family friend. And he was there. I think we were going to meet his sister. And he just caught me. But I was stressed out of my mind. Well, he was stressed too, but you know. he's atheist, so they don't believe in spirituality, and it makes it hard for me now that I am deep in my spiritual journey, but they are still my family, right? And he cut me because I was dizzy, very dizzy, and I would always get that. Even I would stay at home. There were times that I would be scared to go to places or to do things because I'm always afraid that I am going to get dizzy or faint, and then people will have to catch me. So I wouldn't do a lot of things or go to places. So if you feel that dizziness for absolutely no reason, there's a reason. Stress. Toxic stress. Stress is healthy. If you want to succeed, if you want to move on in life, you have to be stressed. Which is why when we start the real world, that's how they build it, of course. If you know Andrew Tate, you know he's intense. How intense he is, that's how he built his school. So from the moment we join, we are bombarded with stress. Healthy stress. And they will explain the stress. Why? Because they want to, it's like the military. They break you down and then build you back up, which is the same thing they do. They bombard you with healthy stress to break down that mentality, and then they build you back up again. Right? So that's different. But toxic stress will give you constant chest pain and dizziness. Loss of sex drive. That can be stress. I mean, well, that's true. Well, I don't know. I know for me, right, I could stay 5 years. Some people call it celibacy or whatever it is, whatever names it's given. If anybody has experienced this, please let me know. For me, I just thought it was normal to just be like alone for 5-6 years, you name it. Changes in sleep and eating patterns, right? Stress, it can change your sleeping patterns and your eating patterns. It goes back to loss of sleep or digestive issues. The same goes for changes in sleep or eating patterns. You are eating healthy. Hi, hair addiction collection. I'm addicted to your stuff too, especially the sunglasses. Well, most of it. Some of it I have never seen, like how the lace wig is done. If you're watching this, follow hair addiction and learn these things, because I have learned so much. She posted how the lace wig is put on and done, and I'm like, oh my god, I have never seen this. Your mom, oh, tell mommy thank you so much. I am learning to love it too. It's a process. But I need hair addiction to send me a wig. Follow hair addiction and learn. I am seeing things I have never seen before. But yeah, so changes in sleep or eating patterns. So for me, sometimes what would happen is just all of a sudden I want to eat everything junk food out of nowhere, right? I have never been bigger than size 10. Okay. Right? I have never been bigger than size 10, but my sister is bigger than size 10. And I've talked about this before. When I am stressed, I don't eat. When she is stressed, she overeats. So people would look at me and say, oh, you are so skinny. Oh, model look. Oh, your body. And in my mind, I'm saying, thank you. I am dying. because people think that, sometimes people think it's natural, but most time it's not natural. Sometimes you cannot sleep at all. Like I mentioned, I would sleep, I can't sleep, and then when I sleep, I don't want to wake up. Don't mistake it with healthy stress. Right now, I feel and I can differentiate from the two. Healthy stress and toxic stress. Loving the work that you're doing to the point that you cannot sleep is one thing. But being so stressed and in pain that you cannot sleep is a whole different thing. Being so depressed and anxious that you oversleep, and when you sleep it still feels like you haven't had enough sleep, or you just overall cannot sleep. I used to be able to stay up until 6 in the morning and then continue my day like nothing happened. Stress. Or like I was mentioning in terms of eating, there are times where everything I wanted to eat was junk food. But I know that when I am myself, I do not eat junk food. I don't. Right? I can do cheat sheet here and there. Definitely not McDonald's. Right? I can eat papayas. I can eat all of those Wendy's, and I have never been able to eat those. Their burgers and stuff, I cannot eat them. But if I go to what is the place, Crown Fried Chicken or something, and then I buy their fried chicken from there, I know that something is wrong with me. Or the times that I was constantly eating Chinese food. I'm not talking about healthy Chinese food. I'm talking about the Chinese stores in the hood that really are not serving our people good food. If I constantly ate that, I knew something wasn't going right with me. The cleansed tea is kicking in. Oh, it's kicking in. I can feel my tummy going. So look at the way you eat, right? How your patterns of eating. I know when I'm myself and I'm feeling good, I eat healthy. I cook my food. I've always cooked my food. I would cook rice. I'll make salad. I'll cook couscous. Right? When I'm myself and I'm feeling good, majority of the time I cook African food at home. Most times I don't add meat because I just don't trust the meat here. And now even worse, given all the things about bugs and whatever they're putting in the meat and what they're feeding them. So that doesn't bother me because I generally can cook without it. But whenever I start eating anything else, even when I go to the restaurant, I know that I am stressed. I know that now. I didn't know that before. I'm remembering right now, my memory is taking me back to a time that I was living in Bushwick, Brooklyn. I have lived nearly in half of the places in Brooklyn. I always say that I was born in the Gambia and I raised myself in Brooklyn. So I'm thinking back to a time when I was living in Bushwick, Brooklyn. I was part of the most painful and hurtful times of my life where I needed my family. There's nobody to be found. My older cousin, who was in New York City, did not want me to live with her anymore because she said her boyfriend would not pay her rent. because I was there, which could be true. But my soul tells me it wasn't true. And I explained the story here one time ago. And at that point in my life in Bushwick, my food was from the Chinese store, was from Crown Fried Chicken and papayas, the biscuits, the bucket fried chickens and all that unhealthy stuff. That's what I lived on. That was the most painful time of my life in New York City. Alright, and the next one is feelings of loneliness and isolation. There is loneliness, there is aloneness. There's two different things. There is isolation and there is solitude. It's two different things. When you see the monks go to the Himalayas, go into the caves, meditation, that's solitude, that's aloneness, right? When you hear, that's if you watch tarot readers, when you watch certain tarot readers who can really read, right, who you are aligned with in a healthy way, and they talk about the Hermit card. I'm looking at my deck, my card deck, and they talk about the Hermit card, right? A good aspect of the Hermit card is solitude and aloneness. Right now, I am in solitude and aloneness. I am not lonely and I am not isolated myself. But there was a time when I was lonely and I was isolated myself. You have to know the difference. There's an aspect of being alone with yourself that feels absolutely great, right? Isolation too can transform you. Solitude, healthy isolation. But if you are intentionally grumbling and isolating yourself and you feel lonely in your soul, and you can have a husband, you can have a boyfriend, you can have a family, a mother, a father, sisters, brothers, aunties, uncles, grandparents, and yet you feel lonely. Being lonely doesn't mean that you are alone. You could be around people, yet you are lonely. I hope this is making sense. Right? You can be around people, in a sea of people, but you feel lonely. And you can be completely by yourself and you feel absolutely wonderful. Okay, yes, it is. Okay, you understand. Afrocentric. I hope everybody else here gets what I'm saying. Right? But there's a video by, yes, makes a lot of sense. Yes, thank you. There's a video by Sarah Jakes Roberts. Sarah Jakes Roberts. That's T.D. Jakes' daughter. I think the name of the video is Isolation Can Transform You. Right? And why that is being alone brings you back to yourself. That's why it's difficult to be alone. People don't want to be alone. Even when they are by themselves, the TV is constantly on. The television is on. I don't know if people still listen to radio. The radio is on. Music is on. That is different from you are by yourself and you are listening to self-reflecting things that helps you look deep into yourself and deep within your soul is different. Being lonely too, everything is a thought, an idea, which is why they say if you can think it, if you can imagine it, you can do it, or it can come into reality, you can manifest it. Because whatever you think, you can manifest that. If you think you're lonely and you're bored, that will continue as a cycle. So you would always think that you are lonely and you are bored. But if you're by yourself and it feels absolutely great, that is what will continue. Because you are never alone. I'm not even talking about what people say that divine is with you, God is with you, Allah is with you, whoever is with you. I'm not talking about that, right? But if you don't feel good with your own company, stress, then you cannot feel good anywhere else. Right? Some people would say, or even we get taught these things. When you are working, play music. When you're doing something, play music in the background. Play this in the background. Get some noise. But have you noticed, if this makes sense to you, please tell me. Giselle said amen. Why we having church? Girl, have you noticed that what people think is silence, right? Silence is not really silence. When everything is quiet, it's still not quiet. There's always a sound in the background. If you turn off your AC, you turn off the fan. Some of us cannot turn off our fridge because the plug is right behind the fridge, right? But wherever you are, that's quiet. It's still not quiet. There's still noise, some kind of noise in the background. Maybe I have gone too deep in silence. But you can notice that, right? But if you are not able to be okay even with that, then you're going through an aspect of stress. Something in your life is not feeling good. One of my favorite professors in the real world, when we do our AMS, somebody asked him, his name is Ole, right? Somebody asked him, Ole, when you are editing, what kind of music do you listen to? And his answer was, that's not real. That idea that you can focus while having so many different things playing in the background. I'm telling you, this is the top editor in our campus. He is the one teaching editing in the campus. And he's like, when I am editing, I don't play anything in the background because I want to feel what I'm editing. I want to be in it. I want to be in there. I want to be here with it. I want to feel every aspect of the video that I am editing. So I don't play nothing in the background. I walk in the silence. You would have to go deep in your soul to do that. But some people, that is their way out. That's their cop out, their way out of whatever pain that they are going through. That when they are working, that's the only time they are in silence. I know this because I dated him. I dated him. And I didn't know that was a red flag. He could not sit alone. Could not be by himself. Could not be alone. Even when he is sleeping, the television is on. Something is on. There always has to be noise in the background. But when he is working, that's the only time that he doesn't play anything. Right? Because he is deeply into the work. So, feelings of loneliness and isolation in a very unhealthy way. In a very unhealthy way. Because to change, to transform into the person that you need to be, into the person, the woman or the man that you know yourself that you can be, you need an aspect of solitude, an aspect of isolation, and aloneness, because we are never lonely. Me too. My ex is like that. Yeah, you are me and I am you. Afrocentric. Yeah, I dated him. That is
Are you doing the card?
the card. I don't know. You want me to do the card? Okay.
Can I pick?
Okay, you can pick. That is why some of us, right? We tell our children, or even in school. Oh my God, the schools, they teach this to our kids, and then at home we teach it to them. Children are never bored and they are never lonely, but we put the idea of boredom and loneliness in them. Because if you as the parent, you feel bad.
This one.
Okay, today we are doing hip hop queens. That's the card that she picked. So we'll be picking the oracle card. We'll be picking from the hip hop queens. Okay, bye bye.
Hello.
You can go.
Don't pick me.
Right? So we teach that to. It took me so much to take that out of my own daughter. Right? But I had to take that out of myself. The schools teach the children that they are bored or being bored. And then we affirm it into them. Right? What I was trying to say is that most of the things that we judge our children of has nothing to do with the kids. It has something to do with us, the parents. When we feel lonely, we think that our children feel lonely. When we feel bad, we think that our kids feel bad, right? Because children don't have all these ideas that we think they have. It's actually coming from us. Because if you have a child or you've watched a kid grow up, they have no problem playing by themselves or just sitting there by themselves. So you have a baby and the baby would lie down and they play by themselves, and sometimes they wake up and the family have no idea that the child woke up. But we put those ideas in them, even in school. Oh, give them that to play with, so they don't feel bored, so they don't feel lonely. Right? This is another part of indoctrination or the programming that is put into us. Right? We get programmed to believe these things. Television. Right? So after watching this, always be aware of how do you feel when you're by yourself. Or can you be by yourself? Some people cannot be by themselves. And if you cannot feel good with your own self, you cannot feel good with anybody else. It's an aspect of not feeling enough. I can't remember this quote that they gave us in our campus, in the real world, the content creation campus, but they talked about that. I'll find it, maybe another day I'll be able to read it. And the last one of stress that I mentioned is the headaches. Constant headaches. Even asthma. Asthma is trauma. I think all these diseases is trauma and stress and pain. Okay, let me recap, and then it will be the end of it. We started at what, 12? 1, 2, oh my God. I can talk. I can really talk. I didn't know I could talk.
Of course, everybody can talk.
I'm still drinking my coffee, people. I will not sleep today. Okay, let's recap. Then I go write or read a book. Let's recap. Read again. 17 symptoms of stress. Stress compromises the immune system. Cancer, right? Asthma. And I say asthma because one of my favorite people in the world, my auntie who raised me, you know, she is my fondest childhood memory. She has asthma, a bad asthma. You know, I mentioned headaches, and she has a terrible migraine. But she's also the happiest person I've ever known. But if you remember, I spoke about how our communities, and just because of my accent, I'm not only talking about Africa, Africans from the continent, anybody who looks like me. We get told to suck it up and move on. We bottle things up. We put things under the rug. So we see our children have asthma. Little kids have asthma. Obesity. I don't know if my baby girl is still here, but my other nieces, well, my other niece and nephew were obese. Little, age 5, age 4, they were obese. This is all trauma and stress, right? But then some of us would say, oh, it's from God. Well, God is telling you that something is wrong. Yeah, you were not just given that because, oh wow, it's normal to be that sick. No. This is always an indication that you're not living life the way you're supposed to live it. This is an analogy that was given to us in the real world, because majority of students, by the way, majority of students who are in the real world and part of Andrew Tate's school were depressed or traumatized or in pain. He just decided to be the brother and the father for everybody who is in pain and traumatized, which is why he's being shut down. Right? So one thing that they keep telling us is depression is an alert system. Is an indication that you're not living life the way that you're supposed to live it. And it doesn't matter how you look, right? The headaches, the heart disease, diabetes, obesity, whatever else, heart attacks, stroke, It is all an aspect of trauma, stress, pain, not being able to voice your feelings, not being able to talk about how you feel, process your feelings, confused about your life. Like my niece was telling me, I don't know what to do with my life. How many of us know of people in our communities who, I talked about this in the beginning, they say that after they graduate, they have to find themselves. Which self are they trying to find? The one that was beaten to death, right? Stuffed and stifled, and they could not bloom. They could not blossom. Because our parents have an idea of how life is supposed to be.
I know how to make it.
Okay.
So I can make it.
Right? Which is why these are topics that is triggering for a lot of people. Because the moment you hear it, you cannot unhear it. The moment you know it, you cannot unknow it. Most of us are surrounded by people who are so proud to talk about how stressed they are and how traumatized they are. Or you have a headache, my headache is worse than yours. Or you cannot sleep, I cannot sleep. Or this happened to you, wait until I tell you about my pain. I was this person. And I actually thought it was normal because the people that raised me, this is how they spoke. This is how they talk. 17 symptoms of stress. Trauma bonding, exactly, trauma bonding, which is the soul tie. I always forget that Instagram can see further down, but I'm so used to doing this. Lifting my shirt and hold it. 17 symptoms of stress. Frequent crying, feeling extra sensitive or overwhelmed, mood swings, that idea of, oh, I'm not in the mood, or this is my mood, or this is my personality. Something is not right. Because you don't have a personality. We don't have a personality. The moment you, okay, I believe. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. The moment you sit within yourself, you come to yourself, there is no talk of personality. Oh, I have a personality, or this is my personality. You don't even think about that. Because you are yourself. Which person within you is the personality? Okay, let me not start going all spiritual. Even though I know some people like that. I would forget the cards. This is dying, so I have to change the charger and see. I saw the TikTok and Instagram. I didn't know that this was in charger. Oh, this is the plug for it. This is I don't know. I'm nearly done. I hope it doesn't turn off. So, 17 symptoms of stress. Frequent crying, feeling extra sensitive or overwhelmed, mood swings, loss of temper, irritability, right? Having a hard time concentrating, lacking motivation, imagining and dwelling on worst case scenarios, which can also be great perspective. Yeah, in terms of the mood and personality. But you go to school and they ask you, what's your personality? You go to work and they're like, what's your personality? And you are there like, so. Don't mind me. Having a hard time concentrating, you know, lacking motivation. That's not Jojo. I have to hurry up. Lacking motivation, imagining and dwelling on worst case scenarios, sleep or digestive issues, memory problems, difficult time making decisions, procrastinating or avoiding responsibilities,
So funny.
anxious or racing thoughts, chest pain or dizziness. Chest pain or dizziness, loss of sex drive. I don't know how this feels. Somebody who is married or I don't know should tell me. Changes in sleep or eating patterns, overeating, undereating, eating disorders. What's coming to mind, and I have to talk about this in terms of the eating patterns. Feelings of loneliness or isolation, we talked about that at length. Headaches, we talked about at length. Right? But when it comes to eating patterns, I forgot about this, but we get told this often. And we have normalized this idea of sitting in front of the TV with our bucket of ice cream and eating and crying. It has been programmed into us by television, by movies, right? All the way to the African continent, we believe in these things. And we laugh about it. So, you know, when this happened, when he left or when she left, well, the men cannot really talk about this. I don't know if they talk about it within themselves, so I'm not sure. But when it comes to the women, so when this happened, so when that happened, I ate my ice cream. And then societally we get told, if you feel like sitting in front of the TV and eat your ice cream, if that makes you feel good, do it. Don't do it. If you're stressed, go take a walk. Get some air, natural things, nature. Go to the gym. Be you a man or a woman. Maybe stop. Be you a man or a woman. Go to the gym. Walk out. Go outside. Take a walk. Do not sit in front of the ice cream or in front of the TV with your ice cream. Well, hell, do not sit in front of the ice cream eating your stress away. I used to do all of this because I believed in retail therapy. You know, when you're stressed, go shopping, it will make you feel good. But what nobody tells you is that when you come back home and you see your bank account, and then that stresses you even more. Or you do the amount of time that you're stressed, a week or 2 weeks, sit in front of the TV as a woman, right? You eating your bowl of ice cream, and then now you cannot fit your pants and your skirts again. I have no problem with gaining weight if you want to the weight that you want to gain. That's different from what society is telling us. None of it is real. The idea of Barbie, the idea of the princess, the idea of Friends. I loved Friends. That used to be my stress movie. When I feel stressed and in pain, I'll just watch Friends. Be in bed with the pizza, my blanket, ice cream, everything junk food, it is not real. I have talked about here how Andrew Tate would always explain that when men email him or message him and they say that they are suicidal, stressed out, confused, and they want to kill themselves, he would always tell them, okay, do this first. Go to the gym. For a man, go to the gym, get a six-pack first before you kill yourself. After the six-pack, then come back and talk to me. And he would say that most of the time, the people that listen to his advice will change their mind. Tony Robbins talks about changing your physiology, movement, your body when you're stressed. That's why he is so animated and he does all of these things when he is speaking. Why? Because all you need most of the time is a change of environment. Going into nature is not just because of the trees and all of these things, but it changes your environment. It changes your mood. Some people don't have sunlight. Now, I don't know. Moving the energy around, right? Moving the energy, cleansing the energy out. Now, some people, maybe maybe sunlight is really bad. For some people, it gives the body cancer. I don't know. But go get some sunlight. That's a fun thing. There are people who stay at home, stay inside. They take all these supplements, and even though I sell supplements, but these supplements will not help you if you are not helping yourself. Some people stay home taking vitamin C, vitamin K, vitamin U, vitamin W, but they are not getting any natural source of anything, because television, the powers that maybe whatever it is have told us that, oh, skin cancer, this is gonna happen, or the air, or whatever it is, this and that, right? And then if you are in the concrete jungle, which is the nickname for New York City, is only concrete. There's no sand. There's barely any trees, because that's civilized. That's the civilized world. When you are stressed, do not sit in front of the TV with your bowl of ice cream. When you are stressed and in pain, do not go for retail therapy, especially for women. I have gone broke. All my batteries are dying, so I need to end this. I have gone broke because of retail therapy when I'm stressed. I have maxed out my savings because I was traumatized, and the best thing that I could do was what? Go shop for things. Even though, I still use them. Half of it I gave away. But like I said, after the shopping, then you have extra stress of not being able to pay your rent, or not being able to buy food or take care of yourself, or whatever it is, because you went for what? Retail therapy. Because what is the name of the people? The only people that I can think of is QVC. I don't know, maybe there are more people out there who are doing that. It's all trauma. Don't do it. is capitalism. Am I a businesswoman? Yes. Do I sell products? Yes. Am I tapping into capitalism? Yes, I am. But I'm telling you, even my own products, if you're going to stress buy it, don't buy it. Be conscious when you buy it. Be present. Be here, now, when you buy it. Right? I am not selling things you want. And do not buy the things you want. Buy what you need. What do you need? Your needs and your wants. Start with your needs. Do you need Jordans and Nikes? Maybe. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you need to stay in line? Do you need to stay in line to get the new iPhone? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you need to be in line for concert tickets of anybody? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Right? Who knows? Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Hard time.
I got to stop drinking my coffee. So late. But the coffee is also cleansing because I have a new recipe. This cleansing tea doesn't have any flavor, right? So we have the brewed tea. The brewed tea doesn't have. I'm so lazy, but let me show you. The brewed tea doesn't have flavor. This one is the brewed tea. But this, you have to brew it. So I brew this one with all the herbs that I have talked to you about, right? The ones that I have mentioned. So this one doesn't have flavor. It just tastes like water, but it cleanses your body gently. Very different from laxative. And so this is the instant version of this. So the new recipe that I have been trying, right, is you take this, which is a cleansing product, and then, so these three I would mix together. This is the coffee. I'll take two sachets of this, 2 sachets of the cleansing one in the coffee here. Right, so that's cleansing. They are all supplements that can work together for the body, and this is an energy regulator. So by the end of the day, I have a boost of energy, regulated my energy, you know, not too and also not depressed, but regulated my energy, helps with my focus, but also I'm cleansing by the time I go to bed. Trina. Who is Trina? Tenacity. Who is Trina? She's probably not light skinned, or maybe she is, I don't know. But this card deck made most of the ladies very light skinned. I think it's the printing. Well, not all. Because this is the young ma potential. And here she is not light skinned. Anyway. As always, ladies and gentlemen, because before all my batteries die, it's up to you. What is it you want to hear? What is it you want to know? What question would you like to ask? What message do you want to get? Right? From the card deck, from whoever. This deck is the Hip Hop Queens, and my daughter chose it for us today. So, the ball is in your court. Whatever comes out is what we, as a people, need to hear today. And I don't pick a card. Whatever card falls off or turns, that's the card that I pick. 5 minutes. If nothing comes up, then I will pick maybe. Or let my daughter pick.
I want to pick.
No, that's too much.
Start over there.
I'm not reading all of that. Look at it. That's too many cards.
Do it again.
Too many cards. I don't want to read all of that.
Yeah.
That will be like another 5 hours. Alright. One card. Put it there. And people only ask one question. So.
One.
Okay. Eve.
Can I see?
Eve. We've listened to her. I'll show you her picture. No, let me finish here. Eve.
You can tap
Listen, everybody knows Eve. I love Eve.
I remember, but you can
And
Sorry.
the card is change. Eve, change. So I'm going to read it from the book. Right? The Oracle book. Change. So let's look for Eve. So there are layouts. If you watch card readers, they have a layout. I don't. I just ask for one card. C, D, E. Eve, change. I'm going to read the whole thing. Let's normally just, you see that, that's for her. So Eve, change. Transformation, new beginnings, travel. I'm ready to travel. I actually want to move from where I am. So if your heart tells you, send me a cash app. You could find it in the link in my bio. I take $1. I take 50 cents. And I will take $1 million. So Eve, change, transformation, new beginnings, travel, movement, reinvention. As First Lady of the Rough Riders, Eve possessed a bark that intimidated even her male counterparts, known as the pit bull in a skirt. She harnessed her dual powers of sexuality and lyricism to evolve consistently in sound and in style. Eve is a master of change, comparing her early work on songs like What Y'all Want to later hits like Let Me Blow Your Mind. I like that song, Let Me Blow Your Mind. And Tambourine. Oh, Tambourine is good. I probably will listen to it. Tambourine makes it clear that Eve comes with the times and stays ahead of the curve. And she is so fluent in shifting her path. She made 5% on TikTok. She made, where am I? She made the move from rap to TV to film and talk shows. She is evolutionary. Whether you are constantly in a state of flux or have total aversion to the method of change, Eve's card suggests it's time for something new. It may be time to reprogram and blow your mind a bit. We talked about this. Move forward with confidence in whatever endeavor you're seeking out, taking a huge risk or deciding to commit to something major. Eve is here to tell you now is the important. Eve is here to tell you now is the moment for making those leaps and bounds. We've been talking about quantum leap. Take a deep breath and jump. Shake your tambourine while you're at it. As always, I will post this I'll post this on YouTube. The words on YouTube, not YouTube. I'll post it on Twitter and LinkedIn. You can find all those in my link, and probably Instagram. I'll post it there because they take images. But if I should edit it and add the song, either tambourine or let me blow your mind, I'll add it on my other TikTok, which is Empress Fire, Fayer at Empress Fire, because this one you're watching me on is Oracle's Place. But the other one, that's my business one, I can't go live there yet because I don't have as many followers as here. So, ladies and gentlemen, change. It's time for change. It's time for transformation. Healing is always a good day to heal. Always a good day to change. Always a good day to transform. It is always a good day to do the things that scare us. I'm not talking to you because I'm not scared of doing this. I'm talking to you because my soul would just not let me rest if I didn't do this and talk to you. So, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you back here tomorrow at 12 noon again. Adios. Bye bye TikTok, because this battery is dying. Love you, love you, love you. Buy my products. You're welcome, Afrocentric. Send me a cash app. Not you, Afrocentric, but you. Bye bye Facebook.